I'm Donnie Bridges. I'm the Eastern Regional Sales Manager for Argen. So I cover the Eastern U.S. I've got 12 direct reports that report to me. Michael Clark is my boss. He's the VP of Sales for Domestic Sales for Argen. And then Min, you guys heard from earlier today if you were in the presentation, but Min's a Canadian that's going to start working with well, I tell you what, we'll wait for your fancy announcement. We'll wait for that. How about that?
There we go.
But Min's in the middle of a pretty exciting transition right now. And then we got Steve Fay. Steve works for Maverick Dental Studio, Dental Laboratories. Laboratories. Okay, I always get those mixed up. But a really, really nice lab that has done a lot of expansive growth in the last few years up in the Pittsburgh area. And then the man that needs no introduction, Jack. Okay? But I thought, let's have an open panel discussion to talk to you guys about what are they doing in the marketplace, specifically social media, digital social media. What are they doing to differentiate themselves? And we're going to get into some of the posts that they have. Min, if you were at his presentation earlier,
you saw this one.
Let's
play it again.
Right?
Why not?
Let's do it again.
Yeah.
All right. Tell me how to do it.
Oh, just press next. That's it.
Okay.
You are making $500,000 and you're only going to pay me 30? You're getting 30 grand? I'm getting 1,000.
You guys are getting paid?
And it's so funny every time you watch it, right?
I love it.
But you know, you can look at the analytics here. This was posted on Facebook here. You know, 139 likes, 43 comments, 68 shares, and almost 8,000 views, right? And that was a week ago. In the dental lab. But the nice thing here too, and I'll kind of unpack it a little bit.
Joe said he shared it.
Yeah, see? It's so funny that you just have to share it. Number one, because it's relatable, right?
Guys. There's plenty of room.
But the other thing, of course, is it kind of covers everybody, right? Surgeons laugh, prosthodontists laugh, general dentists laugh. But of course, dental technicians, it pulls right on the heartstrings. And we'll unpack a little bit more of the analytics when we go next. But this one here is funny, especially if you're a 3Shape user, right? So this is 3Shape control panel.
Yep.
And just installing DME files and DME files and more DME files and pour a couple more DME files in there. So
I'm getting thirsty.
yeah, right?
Yeah.
There's the Argen one.
There we go. We made it.
We made it.
Yep.
That's gonna be a hell of a party.
Yep. And the other thing I really want to highlight here is these are made in the Instagram Reels function, right? And the big thing now is Instagram has really moved away from photos as their main feature, and they're really highlighting Reels because they're trying to compete with TikTok, right? I'm not on dental TikTok. There are some colleagues that are. I just want to stay away from that platform for, you know, privacy reasons, other things. But if you're on TikTok, you can get into dental lab TikTok. There's a lot of people active on there. But to compete with it, if you want to really have engagement and really interact with the community, highlighting, you know, using Reels, using video, short form video is really kind of where it is today. And of course, the other thing I kind of want to highlight is Facebook groups. So this is a post here on Facebook groups. But again, you can see kind of what some of the analytics and, you know, some of the engagement here. But of course, we're going to play some of these. So this one here is just some of the analytics behind. So, you know, you have 6,000-7,000 accounts that you reach through Instagram this way. Same with this video here. If you go and you click view on the insights. If you want to do this, you want to make sure that if you're on Instagram, you don't want to have a business account, you want to have a creator account. So you get these kind of insights. You don't want a personal account either. And there's different reasons for that. And then, of course, I'll highlight groups. Oops.
Cool.
Let me see here. There, that one, yeah. So I'm part of a lot of groups. A lot of Facebook groups. And this is kind of like where the dental community has kind of congregated. So if you want to interact with dentists, if you want to pick up clients, if you want to, you know, and just learn things, these are all groups that I've joined. And the list just keeps going on and on and on. And I manage groups and I interact with groups, and we just have a lot. It's an amazing way to really engage with the community.
So, Min, do you are all these posts created by you, or do you have somebody else at the lab that helps you out with creating those? How, and also as a secondary follow-up question, same but different, do you, how much time would you say in an average week are you spending? I mean, you could spend 5 minutes on each of those groups you just showed us, and you just ate up 3 hours of your day. So what percentage of your time's playing around on social media, and what impact does that have? So that's a two-part question, but I'd love to hear your feedback.
Absolutely. So the big thing about social media platforms, especially Instagram, Facebook, things like that, is it rewards participation. It rewards interaction, right? So when you post something up and it has people liking it immediately, what it's doing is it's telling the algorithm that people like this content, certain people. And the more time you spend on this, and the more time you comment, you like, you interact, there's a lot of people that will just scroll by and they'll see the post. They'll never interact with it, right? And you, as like a user, will see it and go, oh, well, okay, I saw that. And then people will mention these things to me after the fact. Oh, well, congratulations. Oh, I like that post. I never saw you like that post, right? So you may see these analytics here, but you could 5, 10, 20x that number because more eyeballs are seeing it than what's actually interacting with it. But the only ones that get rewarded are the ones that interact with the social media, number one. And number two, I spend a ridiculous amount of time in front of the computer. So 8 hours out of the day, 12 hours, 16 hours, I have one screen for 3Shape, one screen for social media, and another one for Spotify because, you know, you like to listen to music. But yes, when I'm on the computer, there's something there and I'm always interacting with something.
So something comes to mind and you're like, oh man, that'd be awesome. I'm going to post something.
Exactly. And specifically on groups, is where you get, because it's one-to-one interaction. Somebody asks a question, right, about 3D printing, about 3Shape, whatever it may be, I'll answer. And I'm usually the first one to answer because, number one, you have first mover advantage, but number two, you engage with people on a one-to-one basis. But when you answer these questions, you're also answering to the general public. Somebody could be searching this 5 years later, and they go, oh, wow, Min answered that. Thank you so much, right? And it helps them, and then they move on with their day. Where, you know, Jack, me and you, we would have to figure these things out by ourselves in the dungeon. If it worked, great. If it didn't, nobody would hear about it, right? So it's just a different way of interacting with your colleagues.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We're going to the announcement, I think.
I guess, yeah. So this one I posted yesterday, and I'll show you guys the analytics as well.
You age so fast.
So I am based out of Canada right now, but in 2 weeks I will be working with Mr. John Wilson at Sunrise Dental Lab in California. So yeah, I'm going to be an American eventually. But yeah, I'll show you guys the analytics here. So this was posted online yesterday morning while I was at the airport, so about 9 a.m. And in that span of time, we've had 183 likes on Facebook, 231 comments, 9 shares, and 2,500 views. Instagram is probably not quite as much as that. But again, it's in one day how much impact you have, right? So it's exciting news, number one, but number two, it's also good to get the fake internet points and brag about that.
Great.
Yeah.
All right.
So pass this back over to you.
And we kind of broke this down, and we're gonna kind of go into some of Jack's posts now. And let's make this interactive. If you guys have a question for any of the panelists,
if you guys want to chime in on my stuff,
right ahead.
You know.
But here's some of.
I love this one.
We have so we have a social media team, and we use the social media as a business driver. Okay, that's its sole purpose for us. All right, we'll have it across all of the different socials, but the number one goal is a business driver. It's our intention in every single bit of it we do. Now, it does take a lot of time. You got to spend a lot of time doing it. It takes a lot of time to generate content because we'll actually do some videos as well, like maybe 3 minutes long. We got to come up with a script. We got to come up with a case. But to give you an idea, new client packages alone, we average about 100 a month. 100 a month. It's all from social media. All right. I just got a request and a deal to go teach a private course in Ireland. that was social media. I have no idea who this person is. You would be amazed at the reach. When Min was showing those numbers, sometimes we'll post, and even if you see, like, we'll say we post our protocol manual, and it might say there's 12 likes, but there could be 80,000 views. Impressions. 80,000. Think about that. So I've been lecturing for a long time. That is probably, I don't know, maybe about 15 years. I'll lecture in a room outside of something like Sorona World that's got 5,500 people. When I'm up there on stage, I'm lecturing to you guys, and there's 50 of us. I do a post, and there's 100,000. It is massive, is a business driver. But one thing that I would like to note is you always got it. So first impressions, everybody's heard that growing up in life, right? First impression means everything. Means everything. When I say that, I also want you to keep that in the back of your mind when you do a post, okay? Because everybody sees it. It's on the internet, and it's there for life, okay? So put your best foot forward. When you go to do a post, really think about the content, the image, right? Take a good image, take a nice photo. If you got a case you want to show off, and really put your best foot forward, because that is what everybody's impression of you is going to be. So it could be your absolute biggest best friend and your biggest business driver, and they could also slam you at the same time. So just keep that in mind. What else do we got up there?
So no obviously shy margins on a dirty bench.
Yeah, yeah. So I am from, I don't know if I'm from a different school of technician, but I mean, even in the day when I would finish a case, the model work it had to look like it wasn't worked on, right? You didn't have articulating paper all over the stone. It literally looked like nobody had touched it, but I had already finished the case. I've come from that. That's my school where I come from. So when I see a post and it's like a single unit molar, and it's obvious the margin is a mile shy, and there's articulating paper all over it, and a big massive blob of super glue for the Orbix articulator hanging off the back, I'm like, dang, right? Like darn it. I don't know who that person is, but my first impression of whoever they would have been like, oh wow, that doesn't look that good. So you got to keep that in mind. Everybody sees it. Everybody sees it. Like Min said, people will come up and be like, wow, I seen that post. So when you do it, social media, the world is that big, and everybody's in it. You know where I run into it a lot is younger clinicians at the residency programs, dental students. They live on Instagram. They live in some of these forums, in these groups. It's a big deal. So it can be incredibly beneficial for you and your lab. Just think before you post.
Yeah.
So we'll do videos. So these are kind of that video with Dr. Salama, I think, is like 8 minutes long, okay? It's massive, but it's Murray Salama. So when we'll do videos in our format, we'll try to keep them less than 3 minutes, okay? Because you lose them. So what we started noticing in a lot of we started ADS talks. It's kind of like TED Talks. We'll take topics, materials, and Conrad and I will try to come up with like 5 educational blurbs, and then go ahead and make a video, right? And we do a video about every 2 weeks. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, even with a team that handles all of the construction of this stuff. What we found looking at the analytics was you lose them.
Yep.
So that's why we try to keep the video under 3 minutes. Under 3 minutes. So, hi, how are you? This is what we're talking about. Goodbye, right? And so we'll go ahead and do the videos. We have a YouTube channel. Go ahead. Actually, the biggest one on the YouTube channel is the Green Stage Finishing Zirconia.
Yep.
Of all things. The next one, I do a lot with mod. And for mod, this next upcoming mod course, Institute course, we did a professional green screen video, right? And then we did an interview with me and Dr. Wally Renee and actually Dr. Vetter. So the 3 of us did a video, so they promoted that. And then they asked me for something that's not usually something I do. Is, can you do an iPhone video real quick? So, look I've been going hard travel-wise, so I didn't have any good fresh, my creative juices were pretty stopped. I came up with this on my way to the airport. So I'll make fun of myself, and that's always a big hit. Everybody likes that.
How do we get it?
I'll press the button.
Press the button, you go.
There you go.
So it's an uploading block tour. We guys have a full day on Leo. learn how to master video. Let's get a little blue.
Oh man.
What, co-op? Not too much. Don't use too much.
Not too much.
Looking good.
Oh man.
A little bit more to cobalt.
That thing is so hard to talk in, it's not even funny. But it, you know what, it gets the point across. Everybody has a good laugh. I'm definitely one to make fun of myself on a regular basis. I don't shy away from it, right? So this is a good example of me making fun of myself, and it'll be a big hit.
Yeah.
What do you see at the Art Institute? We'll all learn how to video. Everybody can video.
Everybody.
No, this is an excellent.
So,
Yeah.
Jack, question. Mink talked about the Facebook groups. You're doing LinkedIn and YouTube. Which would you prefer? What do you think has been the best avenue for you when you're posting things?
Bah, I mean, the groups are huge. The groups are huge. When you're in the groups, it's moderated, so it's you can't do a sales ad and post it in the groups, right? So stuff like that will keep for maybe. And LinkedIn, you want to keep a little bit more professional because it's a business platform. Facebook, maybe we do stuff that's more sales pitchy. But in the groups, we'll just share. Like we could share a case, we could share a denture. But just realize too that those are moderated, and if you're salesy,
Nobody likes that.
Nobody
likes
wants that there. So, and it's been absolutely exceptional for us, and just camaraderie, meeting people in the industry. Hey, we seen that Conrad somewhere. Hey, we seen you somewhere. It's been really good for the business. It's been really good for us. We'll do these videos. We'll do wherever I'm lecturing, right? So we'll post a Lab Day East, and that's pretty much it. And my biggest part of advice is just think about it. Put your best foot forward in that post, because everybody's going to see it, and that's going to be the impression you give everybody looking at it.
The one thing I will chime in, contrary to what you're just saying, though, is I love cameras. I'm not sure if you guys saw my presentation earlier, and I have probably $10,000 worth of camera equipment, right? And I would set it up on the bench. You had like the overhead light, you had all the different lighting and all this different stuff, and you'd make a video and you'd spend a month producing a little video, and you post it up online, you get like 1 like, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of production value that goes into it.
I will agree with
right?
this. I know where you're
and
going
this
with
video right here,
This
he
will
pulled
blow
out a
through the
cell
roof.
phone, you
Yep.
take a video, because today people don't like doctored things, right? They like authenticity, they like connection, right? So something like this, where you pull it out impromptu, will hit so much better, because number one, it's shorter, it's short form.
It's short, yep.
Which, attracts our, monkey brains that like, scrolling through Instagram endlessly, right?
Yep.
But you go, hey, you know what? Something dental. I like that, right?
You know what? To play to Min's point too. I mean, Instagram is quick. It's taken after TikTok has,
Exactly.
right? And so it's quick, engaging posts. They shouldn't be over really a minute or two. And then YouTube. Jack's got some incredible stuff on YouTube, and that has its place there, and it has shelf life there.
Yeah, it has
when you're on Instagram, some of the stuff gets pushed back. You'll keep making posts, and it's not organized in a sense where you can see, a great video that you had 2 years ago. It kind of gets lost in the mix.
And you could have fun with it too. Like one of our biggest all-time posts was during COVID. Conrad built a birdhouse. Okay, this thing was the biggest piece of POS you've ever seen in your life. It was terrible. He posted it. That thing went like a rocket. I mean, it just went like a rocket. It's just something totally random like that you wouldn't expect. So yeah, I'm known for frequently making fun of myself. In this video, you can tell. But this thing will go like wildfire.
Yeah. Do it where it counts. Make sure your work looks good, but at the same time, you can have fun with it, right? So it's just really context and making sure that.
So this. We're gonna get into some of Steve's, but I kind of want from the whole panel. We've talked about Instagram, we've talked about YouTube, we've talked about Facebook, primarily Facebook groups. It sounds like. Are there any other platforms that you're looking into, want to advertise your companies on, or promote your companies through? What do you see coming next? And I kind of like to get each one of you, Steve, if you want to start. Where's your focus?
You know, I think that each one's suited for a different demographic, right? So Facebook groups that's a huge value there, and yeah, you can't be too salesy. The community's already there. You can chime in. You can become like this really valuable voice in the community, like both of you guys are. And then on LinkedIn, if you're looking for group practices or DSOs, if that's more where your lab is geared, there are C-suite people that will respond way better on LinkedIn than just reaching out to an email or a phone call or something like that. So it's a great way to get in with some of these group practices. If you're looking for dentists that are just tuned into their work and they're looking for, an aesthetic lab or aesthetic technician to partner with, Instagram all day long. It's the visual platform, and that's really where a lot of these kids under, I don't know, the age of 35 are flocking to. A lot of the residents, I can attest.
Huge.
We had a residency program in New York that reached out to us recently, and they were like, "Hey, we saw this stuff on your Instagram. Could you guys fly out and do, a little CE for us?" And it's funny because it really starts relationships, but then it also, with current clients, it can really add to the relationships too. A lot of the stuff we did on Instagram reached more than who I thought it would. We got a call in from a client recently, and I was on the phone, and I'm in some of the videos, and the client said, "Hey, I recognize your voice. Are you in the Instagram videos?" And I thought that was unbelievable because here's this guy from California. I've never met him before, but somehow he recognized my voice from the videos. So, it's an awesome antenna. You just have to cater the content to what the platform's best at.
Guys, how about Twitter? Is Twitter dead? They're trying to reinvent themselves, but do you see any value? Twitter
I don't know if I see a Twitter.
There's no dental Twitter. Again, I follow everybody dental on Twitter, and there's no traction whatsoever. It's because it doesn't allow for the proper type of content, right? Twitter is short form text. What is a dentist or a dental lab technician gonna put on there? I spilled wax on my lab coat today. I did 3 fillings. No, it doesn't really matter. It's for Twitter works for the general population really well, right? Because you want to stay up to date on news. If you follow crypto, you follow news, you follow certain personalities. Twitter is great to see all that drama and it's great, right? But from a professional standpoint, it doesn't offer value. Facebook groups is huge, LinkedIn groups, because it's text-based, right? And that's why I think one of my strongest points is I've always responded very long-winded responses. It's called the min response to things, right? When you see things on 3 shapes, it's just like 3 pages of detailed information of how to solve your 3-shape left facet error problem, right? And it's great though because you engage people on that level. It's like me and you sitting there at the bar later tonight having a conversation about something you're struggling with in the lab, right? You walk away from that and you go, wow, that's great. You do that 2-3 times a year at trade shows. You do that every single day, 365 times a year online, right? So it's extremely powerful.
It's amazing to me. One of the things that it definitely, because you'll be sitting there online and you'll see a technician somewhere in Europe that has it's just them in their lab that's about 8 foot by 8 foot, and they just posted the most incredible case that you've ever seen.
This is German guy.
Yeah,
and
you have no idea. And so before, we had this batch of, like, at least when I grew up as a technician, of celebrity technicians. I'm going to bash celebrity technicians, I usually do. And that was it. So there was this 24 that everybody knew, and that was your only contact, and that was your idea of what great work was, and you're influenced by one of those individuals. Now go on social media and see some of the cases, see some of the extraordinary work that's being done by our peers that are out there. A guy that you had no idea, or a lady. There's some of the ladies over in Europe right now that are producing cases that are mind-bending.
Yep.
And it gave them a platform and a voice. Previously, you would have no idea that person even existed, right? And you could learn from that.
Oh yeah, absolutely incredible. But kind of going back to your original point, Donnie, I think the biggest thing moving forward now is we do a lot of chat groups, right? So I'm in chat groups. There's like our 3-shape chat group within WhatsApp. I have a prosthodontist chat group, so I'm connected with a whole bunch of prosthodontists, and it's through WhatsApp, and there's like 100 prosthodontists in there, and you congratulate each other, you publish papers, you put it in there, preview, what do you guys think? Discord's going to be really big. So this is kind of like an asynchronous chat group. It's not quite public and huge like Facebook. People they have that shyness. They don't want to like or interact. They just like to lurk, right? But if you're in a private little group, 10 people, 20 people, right? That makes a huge impact. Because the other thing that's really cool is with Facebook Messenger specifically, if you're messaging a specific group of people, it's going to feed more content on your feed from those people, right? So it rewards your interaction with these people. So for example, Rick today posted a picture of me, right? So he's going to see more photos of my stuff, and his friends that like that stuff because I'm tagged, they're going to see more of my stuff. So by osmosis, I'm getting more credibility, more likes, more things. Thank you, Rick. And it's just by existing, right? So it's understanding how the algorithm rewards behavior. So Discord, which is like another kind of chat platform, Twitch, different things like that, where you can interact with people kind of on a one-to-one basis, more connection rather than just a public post. That's going to be really huge in the next couple of years, I think, because as nice as Instagram is, as nice as TikTok is, the biggest problem with those platforms is they're very, very short form, short attention. There's very little time for engagement and interaction, right? So you can like posts, but you don't know the person that liked it. You can make a little comment. It's like usually 3 laughing faces with the tears, and then, or this, or the fire. Everyone does the fire when you do a really nice anterior case. But when you go, you really need to interact with people and really connect. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
All right. Thanks.
All right, guys.
So here's some of Maverick's.
So on the Maverick end, it's funny because our journey with social media over the past few years has been, we started and it was really just our marketing director and it was me, and we did a few posts here and there. Most of it was pictures back in the day, and it was Instagram. And we got to the point where we're doing so many other things in the lab. It's a busy lab like all of yours, and we decided to hire somebody separately. And so that was our first hire that we had made for social media position. And it's interesting because we looked at, okay, does it need to be somebody that has a dental background? Or somebody that has more of a marketing background. And ultimately we decided somebody that had more of a marketing background, and we thought that they would really understand how to make brushed up posts, understand video editing, and it did help somewhat. But it's interesting because going along that journey, that person probably worked with us for maybe about 6 months. It was a temporary thing for her. And I think looking back now into the future, we probably will stick with somebody that has a dental background and we can delegate more to them, and it's a technician probably in the lab or a few technicians that can probably contribute to, some of the Facebook groups, because that's where a lot of the value is. And I'll say this, just in a slight contrast to Jack's point, I think with Instagram particularly, you're not necessarily on a huge stage to start. So if you haven't started with social media yet, you might have 10 followers or 100 or, even if it's 800, it's a really small stage that you're on. So I would say, get some posts out there, make sure that you have a good filter and they're good cases or it's a good concept, but, don't let the perfect post stop you from getting into it, because we've seen some good value out of it. And, people definitely recognize this, whether it's going to a trade show or, coming here. Some of the people have come up to me and said, hey, I saw your post. I like what you're doing. So it's a really cool thing. And so these are a couple of examples. This is literally just a very easy post to make. It doesn't have to be that complicated. And we got a really good response out of it. There were like 280 likes on it. And it's literally just contouring a bridge, making sure that the margins are sealed. Some of the stuff that we do on bread and butter cases.
The margins are sealed at least.
Yeah, margins are sealed. Everything's, it just really going through the day-to-day stuff on a bread and butter case, right? But it got good traction. It's an easy post to put out there too. So it's bang for buck, right? For us, I think we're looking at, okay, we got to make a quick post that we can put out that's not going to generate, a ton of time and sunk cost and anything like that. So all of this was done with a cell phone. You can get apps like Splice and throw together videos that make it, really easy to put stuff together. This was a little bit more of a, just an informational post.
Why? Because we want to make sure that you have the tools you need to be successful on your cases with sealed margins and perfect amount of
With sealed margins.
That's right. That's right. They're sealed.
Good. That's awesome.
Hey, we're talking about burrs. The burrs got to be right.
Yep.
and one fine value for margin refinement. Our technicians will love how easy your cases are to design, and you'll love how easy they are to see.
So yeah, that's more of an informational post, and I think when you look at posts in general, right, you have kind of a matrix, right? So you have some posts that are educational, and then you have some posts that are a little bit more of an ask, but you really don't want too many of your posts to be an ask. That's a little bit more of a with 'em post or a what's in it for the dentist, right? They get 2 free birds if they send a digital case to Maverick with every single digital case. So that's not something that we throw out there all the time, but it's part of that matrix of content where it's informational. There is some of it where it's like, okay, well, what are you going to get if you send cases to Maverick? So it's just a mix. Some of it's everyday life in the lab, and then entertaining too.
And full disclosure, Maverick does have a company that sells burrs that's in the back of their laboratory. So if we're going to,
so we were also win-win. We were also going to talk about some of the posts that were maybe not so successful too. So we have a couple up here. This is an example of our old feed from a long time ago, like literally at the very beginning. And there's just, there's some stuff we did, a couple of events locally. So there's a couple pictures of that. There's a couple, case pictures, but the photography wasn't really dialed in then. This is stuff that just wouldn't work on Instagram now. This is a decent before and after done recently, but like Min said, the algorithm doesn't really like pictures anymore on Instagram. So we got 17 likes. So, it's funny, if we would have turned this into a reel and somebody was talking about the case a little bit more and talking about, hey, how do we design this case? What were some of the challenges that we had with it, or keys to the success? It would have had so much more traction. So I think if you have posts that could be a picture, if you can just convert them into a quick video, you'll see a lot more traction.
And that's my takeaway for the weekend that I'm going to bring back to our marketing team, because you guys will see in a minute when Michael's talking about our posts that it's been stagnant photos. And I think we really need to migrate into exactly what you got. So I've learned something from you guys. They say if you go to one of these meetings and you pick up one thing, who knew it'd come from Steve Fay?
Hey,
yeah, but to your point, your stagnant photo over here is a gorgeous case. It's a beautiful before and after, and it's a lot more complex than this little 4-unit bridge.
But the 4-unit bridge, the bread and butter case, did so much better.
The gentleman blessed me with a beer, but not a bottle opener.
But that's
but yeah, it's funny because the bread and butter case does so much better than a much larger case. But it's just how you present that content, right?
Yeah. And the other thing, kind of piggybacking off of that, these platforms want you to pay, right? There was one thing I completely forgot to mention way back there, but you'll see at the bottom that my Instagram Reels got a whole bunch of views, but then if you cross-post to Facebook, I got a maximum of 100 views, right? And the reason is they don't want you to get too successful either, right? They limit you to a certain point, and if you want to break through that ceiling, you have to pay for that advertisement. They want to make money off of you, right?
Is that Facebook specific?
Well, Facebook owns Instagram as well, right? So they want to make dollars,
right?
At a certain point.
Okay.
For us, it's not too important, depending on what you're looking for, right? Who you're marketing to. My biggest thing for dental tech tips is to target dental technicians, right? To engage with dental technicians and build that platform. Where if you're trying to sell to dentists, that's a completely different targeting, different mindset. You probably have to do some paid ads. Yeah, so it's a little bit of a different strategy depending on who your target demographic is.
So Steve, tell us about this play on words from Maverick.
Yeah. So, our lab's Maverick, right? And there was a Top Gun movie that came out called Maverick. So, of course, we had to riff on it. And, it's funny because we're talking about social media here, but we had a really successful mail campaign that we did just to drum up business, right? And one of the pieces in this, it was like a 5-piece, campaign that went on over weeks, recently dropped. We sent out It's really simple. I mean, we sent out 3,000 case boxes to different dental practices with aviators in them, lab supplies, price lists,
awesome.
With a picture of Tom Cruise in it. And it's unbelievable. I mean, there's so many doctors that are sending in cases because of this. And there's doctors that are posting onto their Instagram, actually into a number of dental Facebook groups, mostly the Facebook groups. I just had a friend of mine that texted me today, and she's like, hey, you're probably not in these private hygiene groups, but people are posting in the hygiene groups about it, and they're wearing the sunglasses and doing TikTok dances with it. So, I mean, it's funny because it just shows the power of Facebook groups. And if you have a really creative idea on the marketing end and it's mail, I mean, it'll make its way onto social media these days. And, the power of the dental groups on Facebook particularly is incredible.
Awesome. So I think this next one is a video.
Yeah, I threw it in there.
So
I just love this video.
You know what?
Go back.
What's your favorite dental joke? Knock, knock. Who's there? Fish. Get you. It's just how I talk since I lost my What's your favorite dental joke? What do you get when you put a denture in the freezer? What do you get? Frostbite.
That's funny.
What is it? What does a dentist do when they're under the looking for? Brace themselves. What's your favorite dental joke?
My favorite dental joke is I called my dentist office the other day for an appointment, and he told me the best time for an appointment is 2:30.
So it's funny because the young lady that was in the marketing role, for the few months that she was there, she really wanted to do this post, and I was like, no, we're not going to do this post. It's kind of corny. Like, I saw the script, and I was like, this is just, I'm not going to do it. And it's so funny because it was one of our most well-received posts, and it's just funny how it works, So I think it's important to, have kind of a mix, going back to that content mix, right? You have some posts that are funny, they entertain the viewers or the people that subscribe to your channel. You have some educational stuff. You have some of it where it's actually telling them about different programs or, new materials that you brought into the fold. So it's just, incorporating all of that into the mix so it's nice and, it mixes it up for the viewer. If you're constantly doing the same thing, your viewer is going to get bored and, could unsubscribe. So just keeping it fresh.
This post right here is actually how I found out about Maverick Dental.
Really?
I was going through Reels. I'm like, this is freaking hilarious. So I hit save. So what I do is I have my personal account or my wife, and I'll send posts that I like, and I'll share it.
Wow.
Right? And then I'll keep it for later for like inspiration. I just love this one, so I shared it. And I was
See,
like,
that's unbelievable.
That's awesome.
right. So and now I get a bunch of Maverick Dental whenever I go through Instagram. Right.
That's awesome.
Cheers.
That's a great video.
Yeah.
So we're going to go into some of Argen's posts next, but I'd like to get from you guys, if you're in the if you're drawing up, this is the perfect amount of interaction on social media, right? Because I think if I'm sitting in this audience, I'm thinking Men's on it 24/7. He's got a screen up by his desk, right? And his primary, it sounds like your biggest thing is to go, ooh, I can answer that question in this group, and that's going to get me more influence, and let me help out my fellow technicians, all at the same time. But if you're posting Instagram or whatever, and it's a promotional type post, what's the ideal frequency in your mind? Is it once a day? Is it 4 times a day? Is it once a week, or somewhere in between? And I'd love to get everybody's input on what your thoughts are.
As much as you possibly can. If you can post 8 times a day, our anti-narcissism kind of kicks in, and it goes, don't post that much because you don't regard yourself that highly, right? But not every single person is going to see that post, right? And it might cycle through one person's feed. It might cycle through somebody else's feed. So you post as much content as you possibly can, because you know what? You think you're posting a lot. Nobody else sees it. Even when you think people see it, they don't see it, right? So that's my opinion, at least. On a marketing budget side, that might be different, but
I think it's whatever's sustainable for you. So, if you're the person doing it and you've got 1 million fires to put out on a day-to-day basis, hopefully not too many fires to put out, but you're busy, right? And so you just have to make a commitment to yourself, and maybe even have somebody that's an accountability partner in the lab where you two meet and come up with, hey, these are the 3 or 4 post ideas that we're going to post this week, and you make it happen. And, without that weekly plan, it's just not going to happen. So for me, I think ideally, I'd say 3, maybe 4 posts a week would be ideal and sustainable. But if you've got a great, marketing team and you've got videographers on staff, I mean, that equation changes a little bit. So
Let's transition to Jack.
Yeah, we've done we started out same thing. We were post, but it wasn't. We even with the team, we weren't able to maintain it because a lot of that content that was generated was generated by me and Conrad. The talking points, and you were mentioning about not having a dental wise person doing it. They'll lean heavily on you. So even though I got somebody that does the recording and somebody edits the video and does the green screen and all of this stuff, all that content, so we actually ended up scaling it back. We'll do 2 posts across all socials every week, and we were doing an Absolute Talks video once a week. We've scaled that back to about every 2 weeks, or when something comes out that really we're like, okay, people would like to know about this, right? And that's kind of where we're at right now, because we were super hot and heavy, but for us, it was hard for us to maintain that frequency, just because we generated all the content.
So I'll go ahead and tee you up, Michael.
Sure.
But I know Michael and I have been on meetings where we're concerned that we're posting too frequently, and we don't want people to get Argen fatigue because we're always in their face. And Min has opened my eyes to, we're going to have some meetings with our marketing team when we get back, for sure. But right now, we're probably posting how frequently, you think?
A couple times a week.
Yeah, a couple times a week. And we thought it was too much.
I don't see any of them.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a great point.
Yeah, exactly.
Good point.
So we're going to...
What's that?
So here's some here. So
right, yeah.
Michael, I think our the one with Anton, these are stagnant photos.
Correct.
Right. We have not gotten into video
As much. We need
as
to start
much. The one with Anton, as you can see. Well, Michael, you take it away. I'm taking
Yeah,
over.
no,
You're
you're doing a great job. Keep going. So, no, he's exactly right. So I think what happens with us is we've been using email more so with our customers as a way to educate everybody on things that are happening with our business. So we open or we close. Is this product coming out? That product's not coming out, whatever. So we've been using that as the primary focus, and we need to get more into what these gentlemen are talking about is kind of more of the educational, the content pieces. And so we are starting to migrate a lot more to video. And we've seen exactly what you guys have said, is that because we haven't been doing enough video, we aren't getting that traction and we aren't getting that momentum. Yep. So we are now behind the scenes shifting, and we're building a team, and we're starting to build more video content. We're building up a new studio, and that's what we're going to start doing, is a lot more video content. So everything they're saying is dead on. So
the email is extremely valuable though, because the free education. So if you have new technicians, I push the Argen videos, like the free training videos, to the new technicians, right? You guys offer free training, different things like that. So up in Canada, we have the ACDC, which is the Argen Canada Digital Center.
Very good.
And they offer free training. Was it once a month or once a week?
Once a week.
Once a week. Yeah. So if you have new technicians, we send them up there, and it's just great, right? But you get promotions this way, because email is a little bit more intimate, I find. You know, people like it's your email address, right? It's a little bit more sacred in a sense, unless you get a million junk mail and whatever.
Well, why we like email for us is that we can then go and track what we call impressions. So in the emails, we'll have, well, first of all, we can determine the open rate. So when we send emails to all of our customers, we right away know how many people actually opened the email. So we know how many people we've reached. Then from there, when you open the email, then we can see where you've gone, because we'll have links in there to our website. And when you go to our website, then we know what you're looking at or what you're clicking on, and we can pull that data and determine, okay, this is where the people are the most interested. They want to learn about milled this or that product. And so we're building that information, and then later we're going to pull that data into what we call a marketing automation program. And when we pull that data into our information, then we're going to be able to go out and send back to that customer, oh, they clicked on a link on milled gold. So then now we will start sending some information about milled gold. Or if they open up this email and clicked on a link and they talked about zirconia, now we're going to start sending content on zirconia. So we're trying to be more strategic and smart about that, but you have to build that content, and you have to have a vehicle to take that information and automate back out, which is not easy, but that's the next evolution that's really making it easier for us.
For sure.
I think the difference between these two posts here is you can see that we had more impressions with actually a pretty cool recognition for our CEO that he was named as one of the 32 most influential people in dentistry, right? Huge.
Yep.
But you only had a 3.5% click-through rate. Over here, we had still over 5,000 impressions, but 31% click-through rate. Part of it might be these hashtags that we added to it, and part of it is I think we had a call to action in that post. So we were asking people to click to see what our equipment specials were for Lab Day West.
Yep. Sometimes you just have to ask for the sale, right? Some people go through, and then at the end, you have to ask for the sale, right? And there's nothing wrong from taking that gap, that 90-10. That's all you need to get, right? Not all the time, because people don't appreciate that, but that little bit, very often it works, right? The other thing, though, with email, and I know what Michael's saying is very intimidating in terms of email and taking all this data and bringing it in, but with email marketing, what you can also do is use MailChimp. So it's a free service, right? And you can have up to 2,000 contacts, which, you know, would be amazing for all of us, right? And you just put it up there. You have people sign up for your mailing list. So dentists, things like that. You can try different campaigns, and it's just click, drag and drop. It has a built-in builder. You can put, this is X Dental Labs mailing list. This is what's new with us. You don't even have to do it very often, right? People don't want to be inundated with a whole bunch of things, but if you have something new, you got a new printer, you're offering indirect bonding trays or something like that, that's a great thing to put out there, right? And it's a great way to connect, and it's a great way to track analytics, not at the scale that they're doing, right? Because they have dedicated staff, but it's very accessible for sole proprietors, right? So MailChimp, sign up, it's a free account. You can get up to 2,000, and then any emails after that, up to like 5,000, I think, is a couple $100 a year. It's not crazy, right? So it's a great way to get that same type of data.
Perfect.
So, that's actually the end of our demonstration slides, but I have some other open-ended questions that I'd really love for our panel to share with us. From an ROI standpoint, it feels like it's next to impossible to track. Where did this new account come from? Am I getting a return on my investment for my time that I'm putting into this social media? What are you guys doing analytically to track that activity and to realize, is it paying off for me?
That's a tough one. That is a tough one.
Ambiguous, you know, right? Because it helps at all stages of the client's process, right? Or experience with you, right? So from a prospect stage, if they're not working with you, they might start working with you. We at this point we do tag in our CRM software if somebody found us through social media, and we probably get at this point, and we're not as far along our social media journey, but I would say probably about 3 a week come from social media, or they reference social media in that call and say, hey, I'd like to get started with a case box, if you guys could send some supplies to me.
That's huge.
So yeah, 2 or 3, which has been fantastic.
That's an ROI.
Yeah.
When the calls come in, we try to right away address that, see if they came off social media, see if they came off a lecture. And there's formulas out there that you can research that people that are way better at math than I am can apply to how do you actually visually see ROI from social media. But it is a difficult thing. The problem is a post that I did a year and a half ago, right? Maybe you just seen and reached out, or maybe you seen something 6 months ago. It's not always an immediate realization. You guys know I lecture all the time, and so I'll get a case from a doctor, and he said, I seen you lecture last year at this meeting. It took a whole year to realize that, as far as the revenue comes in, right? So it is kind of tricky to track, but you want to be able to do your best to make sure that A, you're generating content that's likable and at a good frequency, and then B, that you're getting that back out of it. And you'll know if it's working. I mean, that's
this is something that's a little bit harder to measure, but for your current clients, right? They maybe experience you without any social media. Maybe they experience you just as that crown in a box or that case in a box. And with social media, they get a chance to really get a view into your lab. They might see some product lines. Maybe they never worked with you on the implant end or removable, and they see that facet of the lab and kind of realize, okay, well, it seems like they really have their removable game down, and they work with you on that end. That's a return on investment right there, and that's definitely harder to track, but I know it's there for sure.
What about you, man?
So I'm a little bit different, right? I don't work at the scale that you guys do, so very independent, very boutique. So it's a different kind of ROI. You get new clients, and it's based on, like I'm in the city that I was in, we had 300 dentists, and I would interact with dentists, and they would post things up, and they would go to school with each other, or different things like that. And then they'd tag me, and they go, "Oh, you're using him," right? So there's huge value to that referral business, right? So it's very difficult, like Jack was saying, to measure ROI, because it could take you years to realize these things. But the investment needs to be there. Number one, if you're doing it PPC, right, pay-per-click, if you're going through Facebook ads to target dentists, and you're going to go that way, and you want to have click funnels and follow the whole sales funnel and check your click-through rates, that's definitely an easy way to track that. But we're not in an industry that's commoditized, right? You can't track the user from the beginning until they order something, because it's not a product. It's not a commodity, right? You're relationship selling, essentially, because the way that things are, it's very ubiquitous. You don't have that same kind of commodity sales funnel that you're able to use. So you really need to look at the relationships that you're pulling from this, right? And that's more of a better ROI, I think.
So I feel like maybe some people in here may not have time to do an ongoing social media effort. And if that's you, I would challenge you to just do a little bit of a campaign over 6 months or something like that. Just build up a bank of content, have it on Instagram, have it on Facebook, LinkedIn, and then at least you have a portfolio there so that when a dentist goes to do a little bit of a background check on your lab, it's there. And we live in an age of Google reviews, right? And before you go to a restaurant, you're looking at the Google reviews, and if it's not good, you're not going. And that's a great way just to give yourself a little bit more of a portfolio online that you don't have to pay for. It's not SEO. You're not trying to boost yourself up to the top of Google. Everybody's looking on Instagram. There's huge value to it.
Yep.
Hey, how about Yelp? Do you think Yelp has a value? Do a lot of people look at Yelp to see how your lab is doing, or any comments at all, or not? What do you guys see?
That's more for public, really. Okay. So we're in the B2B space in dental labs, right? So it's those types of ratings don't really hold as much weight, and you don't really get many of them either, right? Sometimes it's like a patient that got mad because their custom shade didn't turn out right, and they were sitting there for 3 hours. So how does that affect your star rating, right? And it's there's not a lot of value there, but yeah.
Just curious.
I'd say Google reviews definitely are underutilized in the lab space. There's some labs with a lot of good Google reviews. I think you guys have a lot of good ones. I think you guys stacked up a number of them. You'd be surprised. Look up some of the labs. Look up some labs that you think.
Do you ask for them?
The Google reviews? No, we actually don't.
Interesting.
Yeah, we don't. There is one stinker on there. We had like a perfect rating, and there is a stinker on there. That's like a mile long. That sucks too. When you get
push it down with better ones.
When you get the stinker, well, A, you got to generate more positive ones, but B, respond to the stinker, right?
Yeah, don't leave it there. Yep.
Then you get your side of the story that comes through. This guy sucks.
Yeah.
But the problem is he left, and you got to think about that too. You got to think about, I am no stranger to firing dentists, right? Doesn't bother me at all. The problem is now, if I fire one, that can turn and generate into a review. So you now that guy actually didn't fire, but you gotta think about that when you're doing your customer service. Okay, that'll be the little conscience in the back of your mind being like, oh, well, you might want to keep your CS up because somebody can leave that review.
No doubt.
Something I found very interesting, we mentioned YouTube a few times, and you guys have a great YouTube channel. It's interesting to me that we reach out to our marketing team and say, this is what we want to do as a panel discussion, right? And we need you guys to share with us the posts that we have. And if you guys don't know, Argen's got an incredible YouTube page with great educational videos on it. You can see Jack from men from Lab Day West. You can see Jack from Chicago last year. They're all there on that YouTube channel. And we haven't historically thought of that, I don't believe, as a marketing avenue.
Channel.
Otherwise, my marketing team would have said, here's some great examples of the marketing efforts that we're doing. And so, quick plug for our YouTube page, and it's a benefit to you guys, right? But it's also some feedback that I've learned from this, that you can build your presence online through YouTube also. But YouTube is not these quick impression, 2-minute or less.
They're trying with YouTube Shorts, but it doesn't work. I put a couple videos up on there, and it got no traction at all, right? Because there's no community there. If there's no community there,
it's not going to go nowhere.
Exactly.
It's building a bridge to nowhere, right?
So we've got like 7 minutes. I want to ask you, the WhatsApp and what was the other?
Discord, Twitch.
Are you creating those groups, or so you're personally doing that and saying, hey guys, here's 20 doctors that I think all are like-minded. Let's start this group together. So it's not something you were invited to, right?
Yeah, well, there's some before, like prosthodontic groups of a bunch of prosthodontists, and they threw me in there, right? So I work with really good prosthodontist, and she said, hey, this is my technician here, and so I weaseled my way in there somehow, and that was good. The Facebook groups, the Messenger ones specifically, I know Jamie's in that one with Mark, and that was that one from when we recorded something, right? So we toss things every once in a while. Hey, how's it going, guys? You know what I mean? But that, again, she'll see my content because we're connected that way. You know what I mean? So it's and Discord, same thing. So many different groups and more intimate interaction is very important.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we got like 5 minutes. If you guys want, questions? Do you have any questions? We'll make it. I'll force you to be interactive. All right, Joe.
I have a question. So you guys mentioned not having a didn't have a dental person as in your team. I guess I'm wrong, but I would think that would be a good thing because they can see a different view of what's happening. But I can see your point about having someone not taking your time because they don't have to answer questions.
We have to, I mean, even if we do a post, we have to write up the post because they have no idea what it is, and it drives me nuts, right? It absolutely. I'm like, how do you not know what that is? They have no idea. They have no idea, and even when the photography, they just don't know, right? So, if you're gonna take a picture of a case you're really proud of and you set it up. Let's say it was a double jaw Zerk case I was going to do. I'm probably going to shoot it straight on and from the left and the right. The camera will be on the tripod this high, 6 feet above it, and they'll pop a picture. Of course, I'll send the case out, and I'm like,
your double chin.
Yeah, I'm like, let me see the photos, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the idea.
We had the exact same experience that you had.
Yeah.
Same thing.
They have no idea.
And you'll sit with somebody that, they're good at photography, they've figured out lighting, and they don't know angles. And, all of the photography that you guys see on Instagram and, any of the literature, it's done a certain way. And you know how it should be, but that person that's not in dental, they haven't seen it for years like you have. Yeah. So, they're
always like, what do you want to say about this? I'm like,
right. Right, what's the caption?
I don't want to tell you what to say about it. I got 5,000 other things to do, but that's kind of the problem. They're not experienced in dentistry or dental technology. So
I almost think it would be easier to get somebody that was a great dental assistant that wanted to roll in the lab, and they're really into it.
If they're listening to this, by the way, I love you guys. You do a great job. Because I'm sitting there thinking, you guys are awesome.
Yes.
But I would probably lean that way more in the future.
Got it.
On my side of things, I'm very, very, very big about content, right? But the context of it is important too, right? So these guys back there, they're videographers. They look at all these lights and everything like that. I love video lighting. I love photography. Photography for dental, you need different lighting. You need huge soft boxes. They need to be really far away, and you got to get a macro lens, and you got to make sure it's on the same plane, and you got to make sure it's far enough away so it doesn't look really distorted, so the centrals don't look huge and the molars look tiny. So dental photography is different from somebody that understands just portrait photography or something else, right? They don't need to worry about that same kind of lighting. Videography is completely different. It's a completely different animal too. So they're not going to understand that component, right? The other thing is if you're hiring someone on staff, and again, you guys that are much larger, they have a job to do, right? And their job is to, meet that job description. They got to produce videos for you. So they'll do the bare minimum sometimes, and they'll phone it in, right? So you'll have a video, they'll walk around and just, start filming guys at the bench grinding things and whatever. And then they post it up on YouTube. What value do you provide to your clients that way, right? So it's kind of a double-edged sword because you have to produce content. You have to produce a lot of it to, beat guys that are doing a lot of content. But at the same time, if you're pumping out volume that's not great, that hurts you too. Right? Yeah. So you have to really find that delicate balance to make sure that your content is,
that's so
valuable.
Much so. That's exactly right. Like Conrad is the unofficial head of social media. Okay, so like even when we do a video, that raw video footage, he goes through that whole thing. He goes because it's big for him to make. It has to have some type of value for the person viewing it, right? Whether it's educational, it has to. So it's very important. So he'll go through, but he watches every video. He goes through every single post because it's important. You'll you might have something great to talk about, but completely lose it and lose the impact because they just didn't know what it was, right? So that you do have to kind of manage yourself.
Yeah, it's a full-time job. It can be, right? So don't be intimidated with it. You have to really, again, create a plan. You're planning cases, you're planning anything, plan out your social media, plan out your digital marketing strategy.
I'm melting over here.
It's hot, man. It's hot.
It's so hot.
So we're going to give you 1 minute of your lives back unless there's one more question.
Questions?
Oh, all right, we got one. Here, give him a mic so it'll be on the video.
I know we're talking mainly about business and making money and all that stuff, but there's another facet to this, and I teach at New York City College of Technology, so an important facet to this, I think, is education. And you all guys put up, great content, and it's important that they are explained properly, simply, so that when we present them to the students, they can understand what we're talking about. Which is, I thought, it's something worthwhile to mention. All this content is also being used as educational tools.
Yeah, good point.
Not just.
I agree completely. And it's like Jack said, they're not putting up content just to sell something.
Yeah.
Because the owner of the laboratory is insured. What's the value that goes to the end?
It's got to be education.
And it is
Deliver,
that education you're talking about.
Deliver value.
Yeah.
That's number one.
Great
Absolutely.
point.
But it's a great point. Thank you.
Excellent point.
Sure.
Thank you. All right. Thank you for spending your afternoon with us. We really do appreciate it. It was fun. I know I learned something. Hopefully you guys felt like you did as well. And thank you to our great panelists. I really appreciate every one of you. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.